Everyone. So last night, the Lakers officially waived Matt Ryan, opening up a roster spot and lead many to believe what is going to happen next. Is it going to be a trade? Are they going to bring in another free agent? What is going to happen? And the timing personally seems a little odd. Yes, they're going on a road trip and they won't really be back until like around the 12th of December, 11th or 12th of December, something like that. So maybe they just didn't want to take Matt Ryan on that road trip, save themselves a little bit of money, and then on the 15th and after, they likely pull off a trade. That is a real possibility. But they would be back before they would make any type of trade. And what if they need Matt Ryan? Like, what if there is a situation where, it's a Pelican situation where we need Matt Ryan to knock down a three to tie the game or win the game or something along those lines. And I do understand the idea of like, hey, we're likely getting rid of Matt Ryan at some point anyway. Let's do it now. And, he's not really playing right now. Not really a point to play him right now. So better off just saving us a little extra money, which I guess I can understand. But what if they're also planning on trying out other free agents in the meantime, right? Rob Pelinka, he's got his hands filled, right? He's got to figure out how to improve this roster. And I hope that he's doing his due diligence. I hope that he doesn't start looking for a trade on the 15th. I hope and imagine that the reason he did this is to put in place a plan going forward. So that way, once the 15th or even like a day or two after, he can actually get a deal done. And then we can hopefully get some new pieces to this team to improve this roster. It looks like they're going to end up trading Patrick Beverley and Kendrick Nunn, which is something that I've been preaching for the last month now, because I just think that Russ is fitting great, and what he's done is play make and just brought a lot of energy. He's been really good for the Lakers and really kind of helps spark this team. So I don't want to trade him unless it's for something that really just improves the roster, right? If it's just for just to trade him just for the sake of trading him, I don't really see the purpose in that. I'd rather them take Patrick Beverley and Kendrick Nunn, who have basically been unplayable and non-existent, and maybe even like a Damian Jones just to add on for salary. Take those three guys, go get a player or two or several that can come in and actually be contributors and help in this rotation to make this team better. And now the Lakers are a much better team. And then kind of reevaluate and see, okay, where are we now with this minor move? And if you still need to do a big blockbuster trade, well, you still have Russell Westbrook and whatever other assets you have to then go take those pieces, go trade those pieces, and then get more assets for this team and kind of put you in a position going forward. So I'm hoping that whatever the reason for Matt Ryan's waiving, it's not as just simple as like, hey, let's save $50,000, right? I hope there's more to it than that. I hope it's okay, we're going to do this. We have a plan in place. We have something worked out. And, once the time comes, then you're ready to go. I still think, hey, in the meantime, what are you going to do? Are you just going to leave that open roster spot, which is a real possibility. They could just leave the roster spot open, but maybe they don't. Maybe they go look at a Mo Harkless, right? Especially with Walker and Troy Brown currently out, and who knows how long they're going to be out. You don't really need Matt Ryan in place of that. So maybe you go look at a Mo Harkless, bring in Mo, give him an opportunity and kind of see over this next, 6-game stretch or whatever, what can he do? What can he provide? Is he a quality 3-and-D guy? Because the other thing is unless you're doing a multiple pieces for fewer piece type trade, you're still going to have that open roster spot, right? So for example, let's just say, let's say we do the spread. Let's say we do Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, and Damian Jones for, say, Jakob Poeltl and Josh Richardson, right? Well, now you still have 2 open spots. Or even if you don't include Damian Jones, you just swap 2 players. Well, now you still have an open roster spot. So are you going to save that spot for, buyout, the buyout market towards the middle of the year? Which at that point, it's you could have just kept Matt Ryan until that point and then still have that 3 guy. Or do you bring somebody else in and kind of see if he can get some burn? And you kind of know what you got with Matt Ryan. It didn't really work. He's not consistent enough to where you need him to be, and he's a liability out there on defense. But at least Mo Harkless, you can get that big, solid wing that can play multiple positions, guard multiple positions. That's something the Lakers really need right now. They need a big defensive style player. Mo Harkless inconsistent at times with his three-point shot. He's kind of more in a vacuum. He's more of like a guy that like, he'll have like a great shooting night. He'll go like 6 of 8 from the field. And then like the next night, he'll be like 2 of 6. But all in all, if like you can get him to just be average, like you don't need him to be lights out or anything, just be league average, and the defense that he can provide could really be beneficial. The Lakers also worked out Mo Harkless amongst a couple others, so I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers kind of use this spot as an opportunity to bring in and kind of cycle through other free agents to try to find a right piece. Like, look at Stanley Johnson, right? Stanley Johnson was kind of in the same mold of Mo Harkless of like, hey, well, we there's this guy, he's still relatively young. He's not really a shooter or scorer, but he's got some size, can play some defense. He's kind of been a journeyman. He's a free agent out there. Let's bring him in and see what he could do. And he surprised everybody. He was really solid, and people are still asking for him to come back. Unfortunately, we can't bring Johnson back, but maybe we could bring in Mo Harkless, and he can kind of be that Stanley Johnson of this year, a guy that can come in, play some solid defense, maybe hit a couple shots here and there, and really just kind of provide that size that could play the 3, could play the 4, and really kind of help us in that defensive department. Because our biggest issue right now has been perimeter defense. We've really struggled around the perimeter defensively, and I think Mo Harkless could really help that. Or you could bring in some other pieces. Or if you don't want to do the Mo Harkless route, right, and you're looking at a big, well, maybe you could go look at Hassan Whiteside. I know people are kind of on the fence with Hassan Whiteside, right? Like his issue has always kind of been a locker room issue. He thinks he's more important than he really is, and he's kind of like very demanding and like, I want touches. But not playing the game of basketball and teams not wanting you can be a very humbling experience. So maybe he's kind of like seeing the reality and the way that it works, and it goes, hey, you know what? Like, I just want to play basketball. Let me kind of get myself together. Let me prove that I can still be valuable, because he could be very solid. A shot blocking big, a great rebounder. Those are the two things he's always been great at. We've seen Russ and the way Russ has been able to operate with Winning Gabriel and Thomas Bryant and even Anthony Davis as the bigs, especially if you're going to move off of Damian Jones, right? Let's say you trade Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, and Damian Jones. Like, Hassan Whiteside might be a solid piece for that fourth big. Also, he could back up Anthony Davis. You could play him next to Anthony Davis. You could play him next to Winning. You could play him next to Thomas Bryant. He's got that good size and just could provide and help with the rebounding, which has been a real problem, and help with the defense in the interior a lot that, people want Miles Turner for. He doesn't have the shooting or the offensive, repertoire that Miles Turner has, but he does have a lot of the other stuff that would fix the hole, and he would be free. You bring him in, you see if it works, you put him on a non-guaranteed. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, you let him go. Hopefully he can kind of humble himself. He would be a great lob threat at the rim. I think he's a guy, much like Thomas Bryant, who could come in and get you 8 to 12 points a game, just because you have Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook that are just going to be feeding him. And not just that, but think of like the offensive rebounds and putbacks and stuff. He's a guy that you're just going to have him play limited minutes. He's only going to play 10 to 15 minutes a game, if that. Also gives you a little insurance, if you need to give Anthony Davis the night off. He's been really good about staying healthy and playing every game for the most part. He did miss that game on the back-to-back, but it makes sense. It's the Spurs. You're very likely winning that game even without him. Let him get the rest. Outside of that, he's only missed one game, and you want to very likely sit him for other games this season. He's going to miss more time. Hopefully it's not by, hopefully it's by choice, not by, force, because he got hurt or something, knock on wood. But Whiteside would also just alleviate a lot of that. And you'd have him, and again, you could have him and Thomas Bryant together and just kind of embrace the big, embrace the size that you would have. And I think that Whiteside is at least worth a look. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work. Worst case scenario, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's not a good fit, and you just let him go. Problem with going and trading for Miles Turner is it's going to cost you assets, and you don't have the luxury of just letting him go, right? You're stuck with him because, Miles Turner, if he doesn't work, you just traded for him. You just gave up a bunch of assets, likely a first-round pick, if not, both first-round picks to get him and Buddy Hield. And in that position, you're just like, okay, well, now we need to, Now we have to keep him. We have to pay him what he wants. And he wants $20+ million. Where Hassan Whiteside, if he works out and he's great for you, and he can be like, an 8-8 guy in limited time, or even like an 8-6 guy in limited time, that is huge. That is huge for a guy playing, 10 to 12 minutes a game or 10 to 15 minutes a game. Like, I think it's at least worth a look. Him and Mo Harkless even are at least worth a look. Personally, I would probably bring in Mo Harkless because I really like what Thomas Bryant's been able to provide, as well as winning Gabriel. And I don't think we need a big as much as we need like a sizable wing. And I think that Mo Harkless has the potential to be like our Stanley Johnson. So like if it came down to the two of these, I would personally get Mo Harkless. Granted, let's say you do a 3-for-2 trade, right? So like let's say you do like a Detroit thing, right? You do say Boyan Bogdanovic and Saddiq Bey. Again, just throwing it out there. But let's say you get those two for, Kendrick, you get Patrick Beverley and Damian Jones, right? Those three, you bring in those two guys. Well, now you can bring both of these guys in and just kind of see what it looks like, and if these guys can be quality defensive contributors, well, then that's huge. And then you have Boyan Bogdanovic, who can be, your shooter, your scorer, things like that. And then you'd have, Saddiq Bey, low risk, high reward type player. He's a guy that has shown that he can score with the best of them at times, and might just benefit from a change of scenery. Just again, throwing it out there, depending on what kind of trade you get, these two guys might be the guys that can come in and kind of, be those veteran presence, be those veteran defenders, and really kind of fit a lot of holes and needs that the Lakers have. Because that's what the Lakers need to start looking for. Like, these are our needs. How can we improve in those needs? And I do think these are two guys that can help in that. But I think if it came down to one or the other, I would personally rather try to give Harkless an opportunity. I think just what he provides on the perimeter and being able to play both forward positions, I think would be huge for the Lakers. Especially again, if you have to give, say, Anthony Davis the night off, or Thomas Bryant the night off, or Winion the night off, you have him. He could slot over to the 4, and you don't have to go super small. Although LeBron's playing a lot of 4, I understand that, but it just gives you another option for that. You don't have to go like Troy Brown or JTA. If you need to, you have him, who has like a 7-foot wingspan and has some actual good size to him, and has been, has made a name in this league as a defender, as a veteran defender. And he's not that old to where it's like, yeah, you're bringing in some 36-year-old guy. Like, no, he's still on the right side of 30. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think that he could be beneficial. But again, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think that they should come and bring some of these guys in? And in the meantime, I mean, worst case scenario, like I said, you just waive them. Like if you do pull off a trade, you just waive them as the time comes. But if they work out, then maybe you could work it out to where you can keep 1 or 2 of them or whatever you need. It's just a thought. I think, take a chance. What do you got to lose? Worst thing that happens is nothing. They don't impact the game at all, and you just waive them. I just think it's a low risk, high reward type move. But do you feel the same way? Do you not? However you feel, good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between. I'd love to hear thoughts and opinions. Let me know down in the comment section below.